be at peace, be safe, take care. And I ask you,
Laura, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Can you hear me?
Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Can you hear
good.
me?
Yes.
All right.
I can hear both of you.
Okay, excellent. Hi, Lori.
So that was just a handout. It's not in the other program. Just basically what this shows you is for 2019 as well as last year, 2020, and then year to date, 2021, our pledges, the amount pledged, what we actually received. And the little asterisk shows you that these numbers do not include what we received as loose offerings or offerings for Lent and Easter and Christmas. So if we look at, let's just take a look at reviewing 2020 and 2021. You can see that in 2020, the total number of pledges that we had, this is now for the general offerings, you'll see the improvement fund lower, was a total of 39. So we had 39 pledges. This year we received 30 pledges. The actual amount pledged last year was 123,249. This year, the amount pledged was 115,389. And then you can see the actual amount received. So in 2020, we were under our pledge by $2,439. You see that in the next column, the next block of numbers. Again, 2021, it's hard to really compare these numbers because that's as of October 31st. But basically, right now through October, we are under our pledge amount by $3,665. If we move down to the improvement fund, in 2020, we had 21 pledges for a total amount pledged of $17,880. We received $12,655, so we were short a little over $5,000. In 2021, we received 19 pledges for a total of $15,770. And year to date, we have received $11,908. So we're short $1,162. You can see, just looking at the number of pledges and the amounts for the past 3 years, the pledges have gone down. Well, no, I guess 2020 we went up. We went from 35 to 39, and the money went up there. And then back in 2021, we're back down to what the 2019 level was. What else to point out to you? Total offerings, you can see the next, I guess, block, the budget numbers versus the actual. So in 2019, we budgeted $178,000. We received a little over $151,000, which left us under budget by $26,000 or almost 15%. In 2020, we took down the budget number to be more in line with what we had actually received. So we took it down to $150,000, and we received $152,000, almost $153,000. We were about $3,000 above budget, which was a good thing, representing about a 2% increase. And in 2021, it's again kind of hard to compare these numbers because they're through the end of October. But we budgeted again $150,000, and to date we've received $112,654. The next block, I show you basically what the weekly amount pledged is. So for those of you that give monthly, I took your total number for the your annual number, and then divided it by 52, so that we would be able to compare everybody's pledged on a weekly basis. And this is kind of the breakout of how people, at what levels people are giving. And again, this is just for the pledged amount. So you can see we have 5 members or member families that are giving between $5 and $10. The next column shows you totally what that amounts to. And then the third column is what percent of the total budget number for pledges that represents. So you can see, 1.6% of members that have pledged account for 1.6% of the total pledged number. Hopefully I explained that. So then we have 5 members that are in the 11 to 25, 9. So the most majority there is the 26 to 50. And then we have 51 to 100. We have 5 members there. 101 to 200, 3 members. And then we have 3 members or member families that are giving above $200 a week. And just one thing to point out, that those 3 families are accounting for 44% of the total number, at the total amount pledged.
Oh, shoot.
And you can look below and see how that compares with last year, 2020. So we had 10 members that were giving in the $5 to $10 range versus 5 this year, and 10 in the 11 to 25 versus 5 this year. In the $26 to $50 range, that stayed the same. And then we went down in the 51 to 100, and then remained the same in the other categories.
Oh,
On the back page, what I just wanted to show you is I just took up, so this is for 2022. So for next year, what I thought is if in each of these categories, one, if we could increase the number of pledges that we received by 6 members. And what I thought, and also the people that are currently giving in that category, if they gave at the higher end. So in other words, a member family that's giving between $5 and $10, if they could make the commitment next year to give $10, if they're only giving $5 now, what the numbers would look like. So I added some more pledges. So in other words, like if the people that normally give between $11 and $25 a week decided to give actually $25 a week, how the numbers would change. I kept the same amount for those from the 200 to 500, because that's a large jump. And I don't know if that's really realistic to expect somebody giving 200 to then go up to 500. But yes. So you'll see that in the actual budget number. Yeah, I mean, we do account, that's why our budget number, if you notice, our budget number is 150,000, but we only have pledged 115,000. So we do, of course, build in an amount for those that have not pledged that do give. So, and even though, I mean, a family member does not pledge, they may in their mind commit themselves to a certain amount, per week or per month. And so that's why I think these numbers are helpful. So even if you don't, actually send in a pledge, you can see how, at what giving level, your contributions are going to have an impact. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's important for all of us to take a look at this, whether or not we do pledge. So are there any other questions with regards to the stewardship report?
Oh, Barbara, I have a quick question. It's Lori on Zoom.
Barbara, can you hear us?
Yes, we hear you.
Did the number of pledges, when it goes down from 39 to 30, are those families that left the church, that either people passed away or they moved away? Or are they current church members who, for some reason, just chose not to pledge?
So Lori's asking why the number went down.
And in both, and actually it's both. There have been members that have passed away that in the past did pledge, but then also this year we did see members that had pledged in 2020 not submit a pledge in 2021. And then
Oh, sorry. Thank you. And I have a second question. Do you find that the people that pledge, that automate their payments through like automatic bank checks tend to stay more on top of their pledges than people that send in checks? And if so, should we make an effort to try to get more people to participate in the automatic giving?
All right, so the question was whether or not we have noticed with members that give through an automatic system, whether it's asking your bank to cut the check every single month, or whether you do it through electronic giving, if they have been more consistent in giving than those that have pledged, but then write a check and actually, you know, bring the check to church or mail the check in. And unfortunately, that is, we don't have the data right now to answer that, because last year we had very few that were doing any sort of, you know, electronic or automatic giving. We've really seen more of an increase in that this year, you know, kind of, I think because we were not meeting as much and people becoming more educated in the ways that they could actually give automatically, either through online banking or through the Banco system that takes the credit cards now, or through, we've been pushing Zelle a lot. And so, you know, I think that's certainly something that we'll be able to take a look at next year and in future years to come, if people continue to give through some sort of automatic giving. So that's a very good question, because I would recommend, you know, those of you that are comfortable with it, you know, using, you know, even online banking, having your bank cut the check every single month for you or every week. I know we have members that do it weekly. Or, you know, using Zelle, which a lot of banks offer, is another way for you to be able to give automatically on a reoccurring basis. You know, it just makes your giving consistent and helps the church better too with budgeting. So Lori, thank you for that question, and hopefully next year and future years we'll be able to answer that and see what it reveals. Anything else?
Just a little aside, because of the new tax code, unless you give a lot of money to the church, $5,000, and you know you're in a reasonably middle tax bracket, you're not going to be able to deduct that. So what we did, we connected our church contribution to a credit card, and at least we can get points.
Right. Yeah.
Like that. So
yeah. And that's through our the Banco giving, which you can access through our website. And also the QR code that you see in the bulletins, that too will bring you to the Banco payment service that we're using that enables us to take credit cards and process payments that way. If that's it for stewardship, then we'll move on to the budget. You have in your hand, so there's a couple of things going on. You wanted to, did you want to speak at all, Pastor, on what's in it, or? Because you'll also see the minutes from the last congregational meeting and some other reports. I'm just going to talk on the numbers. Right. So the very first page, no, I shouldn't say the first page. The first page of numbers, because I have just a condensed version, where it says budget update proposal November 7th, 2021. If you look at that page, the bottom half of that page is a summary of the pages that follow. So I'm, you know, we'll quickly go through, I think, just the summary, and then I'm going to highlight just a couple of areas in the detail where we made, you know, changes, if that works for everybody. So with regards to the proposed, and again, one thing to keep in mind is that the year-to-date 2021 actuals are through October 31st. So nothing for November and of course December yet. So for the proposed budget, we kept the contribution, so member contribution. So this is those that have pledged, as well as what comes in loose, and as well as what comes in from members that do not pledge, at $150,000. And we increased the facility usage, which is what we received from the child care center for the use of the space downstairs. We increased that to $5,500 a month. So that went up to $66,000. Let's see. In terms of our contribution, so if we go down, so we are projecting for the 2022 budget an income of 244,600. And in case some of you want to know where else are you getting money, we have, we've actually been doing very well with the clothing bin. And that money has been going towards the next page, the detail page, the R2 Sunday School and Vacation. We have been putting the clothing bin money towards that because we wanted to be able to hopefully send some of our youth to the youth gathering, which I believe, Pastor, is that next summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the youth gathering next summer. So we have been kind of budgeting the proceeds that we get from the clothing bin towards the Sunday School and Vacation line R2. And we've budgeted $3,500 there. And then we usually put in about $5,000 for other. So the number for the total income proposed, the $244,000, you can see the detail of that number on the next page that you can take a look at home. In terms of contributions, expenses, we have contributions to the Synod. We kept that the same at 16,000. Pastor, we had increase in compensation there. A lot of that, the Synod sends out a compensation workbook. And so there's a cost of living increase with that. And then we did do a merit increase, and there was an increase in some health and dental. And again, you can see the detail of that line item on the second page. It would be under the 2.0 pastor. That's where you can see how those numbers match up, 142,843. So I guess the biggest change there, I would say, is the medical and dental. That was going up about 19% from last year. Moving on, worship. We have 15,734. There wasn't too much of a change there. And again, the detail would be on the second page, 3.0 worship. Programs, 6,325. Office and administration, 42,995. And buildings and grounds, 48,280. And again, the detail is going to be on the second and third pages. So looking at the bottom line, that gives us our total income. We're projecting to be $244,600. Our expenses we're projecting at $283,613, giving us a $39,000 deficit. And the last line there is the budget for the child care center that you can also find on page, for me, it's page 4, but it's going to be after the detail for the church. You'll see the financial summary for the child care center. Do you see that? So that you're able to see how those numbers have been developed. That is still a work in progress. We have not had a budget meeting yet on that. So we will be meeting, the Child Care Center Advisory Committee will be meeting to discuss, that has a 2% salary increase right now and a 3% tuition increase, but the committee will be meeting to discuss whether or not we should take up salaries more, given the fact that it's been extremely difficult to find employees. So that's a work in progress. But we're projecting, 87,000 with this budget from the Child Care Center. Just take a look at my notes to see if there's something else I wanted to mention. No, those were the two items. I just wanted that we had increased the facility usage fairly significantly. They were paying $4,800 this past year. The Child Care Center, we're bringing that up to $5,500 a month. And then medical and dental is going up. Any questions? Yeah, Rob? The use in 2020? Okay, so in 2020, we had a deficit in both the church as well as the child care center. And so what we did is we used, I think if you look at the detail, so for the church, we used $35,715 to cover our deficit. We took it out of the contingency fund. The contingency fund, what that is whenever the child care center, did well and they had, a surplus, typically a third of that budget went to the church to help offset our deficit. A third went back to the teachers in terms of a year-end bonus. And then a third was put into a contingency reserve fund for a rainy day. And we felt that this was the rainy day, the pandemic. And so we took down the contingency fund to balance our budget. And so we used $35,750 for the church, and it was a modest amount for the child care center, I believe. Correct. Oh, no, it was, we took that down, 12,500. So it was a significant amount. But the contingency fund, if I am correct, was almost $90,000. So, anyways, yeah, we thought it was a rainy day and we wanted to balance the budgets. That's what we did. Any other questions? So, if you, in reviewing this, you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to me. I'm sure my email must be somewhere, but it's basically bthistle77, since I live at 77 Havermeyer Lane @gmail.com. So that's fairly easy to remember. So you can certainly send me an email or you can call, that I'd be more than happy to try to answer any questions that may come up if you, when you review more of the detail.
Barbara, it's Laura.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to mention that I wanted to point out that in 2020, even though our budget was 150,000, we found that we were in such deficit near the end of the year that we appealed to the congregation to help us meet our budget. And we actually went over.
That's true. Okay, I
Right?
will
So
mention
I just
that.
want to point out how generous our congregation has been when they realized how much help we still needed. We ended up bringing in 153,000.
Yeah, okay. I'll mention that.
Right.
I don't know if for those of you that might have been able to hear that, but what Laura wanted to point out is that last year around this time, we were, facing quite a deficit. Our contributions were down and we made a special appeal to the congregation. I believe it was in the letter that I had sent out with the pledge cards as well as in church. And, just how wonderful the congregation was in terms of stepping up, because not only did we meet our budget, but we had exceeded it. So again, that was, let's see, yeah, we exceeded it by $3,500 because we actually took in 153,553, and we had budgeted 150,000. So it just, goes to show the generosity of this congregation, when we needed help. So thank you, Laura, for pointing that out. And thank all of you and all of you on Zoom, for your generosity and your attention this morning. And again, if Laura or I can answer any questions, please reach out. Anything else?
Thank you, Barbara.
Uh-oh, I think we have another one. Yes?
No, I was just saying thank you, Barbara.
Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. So thank you, Barbara. All righty, well.
Yeah, and we're grateful for everyone in the curve.
Yeah.
People do what they can or think is appropriate. And I think this is also really helpful to see what the range of giving is, right?
It is.
Where you are.
And sometimes you can't gauge like what's appropriate, so this kind of helps as well.
Yes, definitely. Well, thanks for rejoining. I know you were here this morning.
I know.
All right, bye.
Okay.